Hello to everyone. In this episode, I'm gonna tell you how I was stuck at an intermediate level before coming across Luke's English podcasts. And thanks to these podcasts, I was able to move, from that stage to this new stage, this new level, how this podcast took my English to the next level. Let's put it that way. And I know that this is very common, right? We usually get stuck at an intermediate the intermediate level. And what I wanted to share in this episode or live session with you is how this, again, I'm repeating myself, is to share with you how this actually happened. And to do that, let me tell you a few things. Okay, before I begin the episode properly, let me give you a quick roadmap. Right? Let me map out the territory for you. So, in this episode, I'm going to talk about how I used LEP to improve my English while learning, and then, of course, while learning learning English with LEP is actually, I think, in my opinion, is one of the best things you can do. I think that LEP is one of the best resources on the internet, and for several reasons. Then that's what I'm going to talk about later on. For example, Luke's humor, his approach to actually the how you'll feel when you learn English with LEP. Relaxed, right? You will gain confidence. That's something else I'm going to talk about. And how this is related to why I started my own channel, YouTube channel. Then I'm going to tell you about something else, something important that happened to me in connection to Luke. And then I'm going to give you my final thoughts, and I'm going to tell you about the next steps I'm going to take. Anyway, so let's get started. So, something important I wanted to mention to you is that this is actually a belated Christmas present for Luke. You know, on last year, this was December. Luke published an episode. It was 914, and in this episode, he made a comment about a Christmas present he could be given. Right? A Christmas present he could be given. An ideal Christmas present he could be given. Which was a positive review of his podcasts on, platforms like Apple Podcasts, or I think he said on any other platform. And I thought back then, all right, this is a great opportunity to, to give Luke a great present. And to something else he said, that would have been a great opportunity to show your appreciation for everything he's done. For everything he's done, for us. LEPsters. Yeah, nowadays I can call myself a LEPster. There was a time I used to be a ninja, and I didn't have the guts to, to get in touch with Luke, and let alone, publish a video on YouTube. But anyway, so this is a Christmas gift for you, Luke. I hope you like it, and if you don't, please don't let me know. I'm just joking, of course. I hope you like it, and anyway, I mean, it could be better, of course, but I'm just starting. So anyway, yeah, this is my belated Christmas presents that I should have given you last year, and then I like to, of course, how I like to tell you how I actually improved my how I used LEP to improve my English, right? That's absolutely important. And there are several things you can do. There are several things I've been doing to improve my English using these podcasts. Of course, there are plenty. I think that there are countless ways you can use these podcasts to improve your English. But just to mention a few, you know, I think that one of the key ways to improve your English that I've been doing, right, that I've been using, is to jot down key expressions. I've been using Google Docs, right? I've created a Google Docs, and I usually, jot down expressions, key words I come across whenever I listen to whenever I watch, actually, because I actually don't usually listen to his episodes, even though I know that's pretty common among LEPsters. I usually watch LEP on YouTube, I don't know, it's just a personal preference. But anyway, I usually use these Google Docs to actually... Oh yeah, I've got four I've got 4 concurrent viewers at the moment. Oh, and now only one. That's interesting. Yeah, that's quite interesting. But oh yeah. Okay. I'm gonna say hi. Anyway, so yeah, so let's wait for a comment from my only viewer. There used to be 4 viewers, and at the moment there are 3. Let me have a look at that. Yes, it's quite interesting. These are my first time I have got some viewers while I'm on a live session. Anyway, thank you for watching, and welcome to Alex's Adventures in English. I was saying that this resource, this Google Docs, is actually perfect for you to keep track of Luke's most common expressions. For example, he uses on his rambling episodes, he usually uses "off the top of my head." That's one key expression. that you can, keep track of if you use a Google Docs, as I do. Anyway, the second way of improving my English using LEP, which is not actually, this is not actually LEP, Luke's English Podcast, but it's a resource that Luke usually recommends, which is YouGlish. And it's a great resource for you to look up words and expressions. You can check pronunciations there, which is, absolutely great. And that'll give you the pronunciation of a word on actually videos, YouTube videos, a collection of YouTube videos. And I not only do I use this resource as a kind of pronunciation dictionary, but also to check the frequency of a word, which is quite interesting. Anyway, I'm not going to delve into this right now, maybe later on. But now let's move on to the third way of using LEP to boost your English. You need to try and spot high frequency words and expressions while you watch or listen to Luke's English podcasts. This is something great, and I've actually been doing this. I've actually been doing this. I've been using some software apps, that actually let you keep track of some key expressions, some highly frequent expressions or words in Luke's English podcasts. And to give you an example, there's one kind of interesting research I did some time ago. I'm not sure if you're familiar with these shorts on maybe YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok that talk about this dichotomy, this basic versus advanced dichotomy. This hashtag. Yes, it's a hashtag. Basic versus advanced. All right. So they say that, for example, so is basic, whereas therefore is advanced. Okay. But if you have a look at, I actually had a look at 30 episodes of do you know Amber and Paul's episodes where they're guests on Luke's English podcast? Well, I actually looked at 30 conversations between Luke, Paul, and Amber. And I found out that so is used there more than over 4,300 times, whereas therefore only appears 7 times. So we know actually that these conversations are as advanced as it gets, And so this dichotomy, basic versus advanced, usually found on Instagram, TikTok, and I think also on YouTube, it may be misleading in terms of understanding how language actually works. But if you pay attention to how Luke and his guests use English, you will get a better picture of what English is actually like, or what English actually, or how English actually works, you know? So that's very important. Anyway, something else I wanted to mention. I think that yeah, the fourth kind of way of using that I've been using Luke's LEP to improve my English, you know, has been shadowing. Shadowing has been one of the main ways I've been using English. I've been using LEP to improve my English. And I talked about this on other episodes, in previous episodes actually. So the thing is that shadowing can be quite beneficial when learning English with, well, in my case, LEP. You know, when you learn English with LEP, as you know, mimicking how Luke, you know, reads an extract from, for example, a short story, which is something I did in two of my previous episodes. You know, that's very important to do. And something else I've been doing is that I've been also shadowing Luke in slow motion, which is something that you might think, okay, but if you do that, you may not get the proper rhythm, you know, because we want to be as fluent as Luke himself, of course, right? But if you do that, you'll be able to see how he actually moves his mouth. Important to be able to capture how he produces those tricky sounds, which is something I've been doing, and which is something that has really helped me, you know, get pronunciations. And okay, guys, sorry, OBS had just disconnected, but now it's connected again. Anyway, I hope you don't have any problems with watching the video. Okay, let's continue, and let me share something else with you, something important. Okay, and something else I've been doing to improve my English is to try and imitate, which is kind of related to shadowing, you know, is actually very closely related to shadowing, which is to try and imitate his intonation and rhythm. Yeah, it's actually the same, you know. But anyway, so moving on, let me now tell you why you should listen to Luke's English podcast, or why you should watch Luke's English podcast on YouTube. One of the main reasons I can think of off the top of my head is Luke's brilliant humour. You know, Luke's humour is absolutely spot on. Do you know what I mean? I mean, from his top-notch impressions of Arnold Schwarzenegger to his jokes, stand-up jokes, such as the Russian joke, which is a joke I'm not gonna explain. I'm not gonna explain right now because I'm gonna try and share the link to that episode, to the episode where Luke explains that joke himself. I think he's actually explained it several times, but I also think that there's one episode dedicated to that. But anyway, um, yeah. So let me. I'd like to share something with you. I'd like to share his impression of Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is absolutely great.
If you feel that you need to be perfect, you might never do anything. So don't just always aim for perfection. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but don't let perfection stop you from basically just being good enough. Starting is often the hardest part, right? Starting something new. That's often the hardest part. If you can get over that hurdle, if you can get the ball rolling, you just got to keep it going. A little bit goes a long way, one step at a time. Come on, you can do it. Come on. Okay.
Isn't that great? It's absolutely great, isn't it? I mean, before his impression of Arnold, he gave some great advice, didn't he? I mean, that's great advice, and that's something else I should be mentioning here. Before I forget, that's a. I mean, I think that's something I say to myself. I tell myself every time. For example, before this live session, I said to myself, I told myself, okay, one step at a time. And you don't need to be perfect, right? You don't need to be perfect to for this live session, right? To be on YouTube. I mean, you can make mistakes. You can make mistakes, of course, as actually native speakers do themselves, right? I mean, we all make mistakes in our native languages, don't we? But anyway, perfect is the enemy of good, or good enough, as Luke put it himself in this episode. I think that it was right before this extract I've just shown you, right? But okay, so guys, I was telling you, yeah, Luke's humor is absolutely great, isn't it? And another very important reason for you to learn English with LEP is that you'll get to learn English in a relaxed way. You'll get to. I think that I usually try and compare this with shorts, short form content like the one you find on Instagram or TikTok or also on YouTube, right? So this short form content, these shorts, their nature is can be quite, a bit frantic, a bit like I don't usually feel at ease while watching these shorts, and not especially after watching 10 or 15 of them, non-stop. But when you watch these shorts, you can't do anything else. I think you can't multitask, or you can't relax while doing something else. But if you listen to Luke's English podcast, you'll be able to, for example, do anything else. You know, do the washing up, for example. Do a nightly skincare routine, right? And it'll allow you to wind down at night, before going to bed, and while you do something else, which is something I do on a daily basis, which is great. It'll be great for you. And he's got such a relaxing voice, such how shall I put it? He's he's got a great voice, which I deeply admire, and that'll get you. Well, you can even go. You can even fall asleep while listening to LEP, which is something many people do. As far as the usually Luke says that himself on the podcast, and there are many comments on his podcast that where users or LEPsters say that they usually fall asleep while listening to him, and yeah, so that's very important to bear in mind. And something else, I think that this is related to what I've just said. The look will boost your confidence, right? From telling you that perfect is the enemy of good or good enough, to actually showing you that mistakes are not a problem, are not something. I mean, they're not the end of the. It's not the end of the world when you make a mistake. And I used to think it actually was in the past, because when I was at the teacher training college, training to become a teacher, I used to believe that mistakes were some kind of, monster. That if I made a mistake, one of these, you know, one of these monsters would actually eat me alive, you know, and but not at all. You need to actually Luke himself sometimes makes mistakes, as every native speaker does, right? But what I love about those moments is his approach to those mistakes. He doesn't edit them out. He kinds of embraces them by making a joke, maybe, or maybe self-correcting himself. And to give you a clear example that has just come to me, in I think in one of his last episodes, he said to speak spontaneous, and then he said to speak spontaneously, right? It wasn't a big mistake at all, right? Because he was just speaking off the top of his head. So this can happen to everyone, right? It does happen to everyone in their native language. So, but the thing is that what I really loved about that moment, and what I do love about that moment, was that he just self-corrected himself. That was it. He didn't edit it out, you know. He just continued speaking. There was no issue, no real issue, no big issue. So that's very important, guys. Confidence. And something else, mate. Something else I wanted to mention, and that I don't want to forget, that LEP is so inspiring and motivating that, in my case, it led me to begin my own, to launch my own YouTube channel. Before this, before I came across LEP, I hadn't even thought about being on YouTube. But because of pieces of advice like these, like perfect is the enemy of good or good enough, I've been, kind of, I feel a bit, I don't want to say empowered, but it's like I'm not afraid. I'm not that afraid as I used to be. Of course I'm afraid because I'm live on YouTube at the moment, and I've got four concurrent views at the moment. Hi guys. Sorry if I didn't pay attention to you. Really sorry. I was so, I was paying too much attention to to what I had to say about Luke's English podcast. And anyway, I think that I need to kind of wrap up this live session. But before that, I'd like to tell you that a few days ago, I actually made a comment on Luke's website, on LEP's official website, teacherluke.co.uk, right? Don't forget to visit his website. It's great, absolutely great. And anyway, what I said to him was that I thanked him for all his help, and I told him that thanks to him, I was able to go from an intermediate to an advanced level in English. And he actually replied to me, which was kind of a dream come true, really. I wasn't expecting that. And I really like to thank you, Luke, for that. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. You said, well done, Alex. It looks like you have made a lot of progress, and I am glad if my podcast has helped at all. It really has. It has indeed. More than you can imagine, Luke. Yeah, it really has. Okay, so that's something else. And oh yeah, something else I like to say is that when I saw that, I was absolutely chuffed to bits. I was over the moon. I was made up, right? Like they say in the north of England. And yeah, I was on cloud nine. All these expressions to express, extreme happiness, right, in English. These are great expressions. And yeah, and I was buzzing, which is another expression I nearly forget. Yeah, absolutely. And there's another phrase I like to share with you, which is very closely related to this podcast, the name of this podcast. I was grinning like a Cheshire cat. Like the cat from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, right? Yeah. Anyway, guys, so to sum up, and LEP transformed my English. It took it from an intermediate level to an advanced level, which is, especially in terms of listening, speaking, including, of course, my accent. And, well, what else can I tell you? LEP is educational. It's entertaining. It's hilarious. And it will really allow you to learn to absorb English as you relax, to absorb English naturally as you relax doing something else, right? And it teaches you that mistakes are normal, right? Don't forget that, and that's priceless. And okay, guys, so we've come to the end of this review of LEP. I hope you liked it and that you find it useful. You found it useful. If you enjoyed this video, and you want more like it, where I share my journey, my tips, and my honest review of the tools that helped me the most, let me know in the comments below. Also, share with me if you listen to or watch LEP, or if you're planning to start, right? And if you're already a regular listener, I'd love to hear something you've learned from Luke Thompson. I'm going to upload. I'm sorry. There was. Oh, sorry. My mouth is so dry. And I'm really nervous. Oh. Okay. Sorry. I was saying. I'm going to upload new videos every week to show you how I've been learning English with native speakers, including, of course, Luke Thompson. And anyway, guys, so if you're interested, like, subscribe, and share. You'll be supporting this channel, and I'll be able to create more content like this. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next adventure. And as Luke says, bye, 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 bye. Okay, that was it, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye bye, Patricia. Thank you for watching.